to talk about male musicians who are feminists. More specifically, I'd like to talk about male musicians who produce and put on music by women and who are feminists. Most specifically, I'd like to talk about my ex-boyfriend, a male musician who performs music by a woman, who cheated on me for several months, and who lied to me, and who manipulated and cheated on me for several months, and who lied to all his friends, and who lied to me, and has since lost the ability to look me in the eye, never apologised, never owned up to anything, and he's a feminist. And I know this because he told me so. And we have a lot of male musicians who are feminists in Oxford, and you'll see on the streets, or you'll see in the gym, and they're reading the bell jar between sets, or they've got like the will to change, and they're reading in the middle of the street, and they're like nodding, so you know they agree, and they're holding the book upside down perhaps. And you get them in all music halls, they tend to be conductors, and you'll see them, and they'll stand at the front of the stage, and they'll say, we're doing feminist music, but feminist women, because we're feminist musicians. And then they'll go home, and they'll fuck up the women in their lives, and they'll go and wash the blood off their hands, because fuck guys, we've done a feminism. Aren't we part of the solution? I quote, and it's really good stuff. And it's a really difficult thing to address, because ostensibly they are doing part of the right thing, and you don't want that to stop. But, you know, it's a bit like when a small child pisses their pants, right? It's their piss. They piss their own pants, they're covered in their own piss. But because they're a small child, they're going to wait for someone else to come along and peel their trousers off them and walk up the piss on the floor. The difference between that is, that's a small child, and my ex-boyfriend is supposedly a fully grown man. And it's insane, right? But the real problem with this analogy is that people who are actually incontinent, or small children, don't have the self-control not to piss themselves. There are men out there who will look you in the eye, piss, and then stand there a little damp waiting for you to come and clean up for them. And it's really, really good. And it's just infinitely entertaining. And it's also a really difficult thing to address, right? Because they are doing part of the right thing. Like sort of every art that we study here to an elite level, we come here as music students into such an enclosed, elitist space, and we're taught that the peak of everything is what a couple of like old dead white men wrote 100 years ago, and we worship it regardless of what impact it has on our personal lives. And we come here as young students looking to make a change in the world, and we do what little we can to very slowly change the demographic, right? And introduce underrepresented voices, and introduce voices of composers and musicians who've been trampled for centuries into the canon. And putting on music by women is part of that. But it's really difficult to address when these horrible men do it, because it's sort of like a tool for them to go home and pat themselves on the back and maybe beat the shit out of their girlfriend or cheat and lie, but say, look, fucking guys, look at what I do in my professional life. It's fine, it's all fine. And you want them to carry on doing that. But the problem with these men is that they put so much time and effort into being feminists. It's so part of their identity. They live with so much guilt and so much fear that the moment you point out to them what you've done in your personal life is fucking devious, you've harmed women, you're a horrible misogynistic man, instead of thinking, oh God, fuck yeah, you're so right, and letting that guilt move them to action, they become fucking paralyzed. They become incapable assholes, and they're like, fuck, well, it's over for me, guys. I'm a misogynist, that's my identity, I might as well keep going. And they're so dangerous, and they're so terrifying, and they are people who choose to piss themselves. But, again, you want them to carry on putting on music by women. And it's a bit like talking about the Barbie movie with people, if you remember that. I don't like the Barbie movie. It wasn't good. But when you're discussing the Barbie movie, it's really difficult, because you have to put several foundations in place before you can have these conversations, right? Because you can come in and you can say, well, you know, I thought the Barbie movie had such a massive budget, had so many aims, achieved none of them, and frankly it was a bit of a waste of time, but it's not like it shouldn't have been made, it was a flawed movie. But if you don't put these foundations in place before you have these conversations, you find yourself, for some reasoning, arguing on the same side as all the men who are like, yeah, fuck women, I don't want to see that shit, I don't want to see the Barbie movie, it was pathetic, we don't need to have these conversations. And it's really, really annoying. So in a moment, I'm going to read to you part of my Outlook inbox, which is a big part of my life here. I'm going to read to you part of my Outlook inbox. After this really horrible, drawn-out breakup with my ex-boyfriend, I wrote a piece, and it was quite an ugly piece, and it was quite violent, and it was about women, and it was about violence, gender-based violence. And it was framed as a funeral rite. So the conductor turns around and intones like the start of a funeral, and it was, full of profanity, and it was very angry, and it wasn't a piece that was supposed to coddle the audience. But I will say none of it was gratuitous. I really stand by what I wrote. And so I sent it off to a student orchestra here at Oxford, and they rejected it at the first round, so they refused to workshop it, which is unusual for a student orchestra. And part of the reason they rejected it was that some of the themes and language were not suitable to the concert space. We're students and we're progressive, we don't want you to see that shit. And again, for full disclosure, my ex-boyfriend conducts this ensemble, but he's a very ethical man, because he told me so. So I don't think that had any impact on it, actually. So once I'm done cleaning myself up here, I'll just go find that email for you. And the other thing is that I really believed in what I wrote. And sort of the whole framing of this piece stemmed from a quote by Bonnie Burstow, which some of you might know. Bonnie Burstow was an activist and sort of anti-psychiatry activist, talking about how we over-medicalise women when they're pushed to what looks like insanity by being placed and forced into insane situations that push them to breaking point, and then we call them crazy, and then we medicalise them when in effect it was everyone around them who was crazy. And the quote was, "Often, father and daughter look down on mother, woman, together. They exchange meaningful glances when she misses the point. They agree that she's not as bright as they are, cannot reason as they do. This collusion does not save the daughter from the mother's fate." In short, it was an ugly piece, and it was full of rage, and it was deeply vulnerable for me. They didn't want to hear it. For the sake of privacy in these emails, the orchestra will be referred to as Respectable Orchestra, and the manager will be referred to as Ronald McDonald. And here's the email. "Hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate the feedback. I will say, however, and I probably could have put this in the score, that violence against women and the mistreatment of women is not invisible in concert spaces. I appreciate what you're saying about the Respectable Orchestra concert setting, but you establish your audience and their expectations with the artistic choices you make. I understand how strange and uncomfortable it must be to be caught in the middle of this particular conflict of interest, and I'm sorry for that. I know that you've been caught up in something that is bigger than both of us, and there are lots of people other than you who are responsible for cultivating this environment. But I think this is worth saying, because this is an important conversation that is worth having in every space. Especially with the recent Supreme Court ruling, and under a government that is still dictating and restricting how women should be allowed to exist. These themes align with everyone who lives alongside women. We value women in death and bow our heads at their funerals, yet we treat them appallingly when they're alive. Certain taboos, like swearing at funerals and in concert halls, I hope would highlight this hypocrisy. An audience being uncomfortable does not automatically mean that what you're doing is wrong or inappropriate, especially when the themes at hand are pressing and relevant and have a very real impact on the people in both the orchestra and the audience. I think it's also relevant specifically in the concert hall. Respectable Orchestra, as well as many of the Respectable Orchestra Music Society ensembles, have been committed to programming music by women. And we're all in the same boat of making the world of classical music a more diverse space. But you know as well as I do that some of the men around Oxford who claim to champion women's voices go home and terrorize women in their personal lives. The anger and the disquiet of this music exists in every space and lives with women everywhere, but we're encouraged as a community to keep it private. Avoiding these conversations in the concert hall and in the public sphere in general creates a safe space for misogynists everywhere to carry on mistreating women while waving a feminist flag. Not only that, but avoiding these themes because we're determined to uphold established concert norms and to comfort and and infantilize an audience could be understood as displaying a level of care to the misogynists in the room that is not being afforded to the women in the same space. Thank you for explaining what you have, and I really am grateful for the feedback. I don't expect you to change your mind, and I'm not trying to change your decision. I wanted to say these things because they matter, and I found it quite upsetting how this has felt both personal and systemic. I don't want this to be escalated any further, but a line to say that you've read and received this would be appreciated. All the best, Julie. That's me. Their manager's reply in its entirety. Dear Julie, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Ronald McDonald. Oh my god! What the fuck? There must be a store somewhere where all these men hop out and buy their audacity. And I don't know where it is, but I'm on the fucking lookout. How do you write that, send it off, and then go to sleep at night? The thing that really gets me is the pseudo-professionalism of these replies. Ronald McDonald is another second-year music student. We all call him Ron. He goes down the pub with us. But all of a sudden he's signing off as Ronald McDonald. And it's a thing that happens, right? These men realise that they've done something wrong, and they pull up this wall of professionalism, because they know that the norms of what is proper, what is right, what is professional, will stop you from losing your shit in a professional setting. But it doesn't have to, right? Because all kinds of devious fuckery is going on in this professional sphere, and I can't be expected to keep quiet anymore. Because it impacts my personal life, right? People are so willing to be able to believe that someone's personal life and someone's professional life are two completely different things, two completely different people, you know? He's a nice guy, I've worked with him, he's really nice. Sometimes he gets drunk and beats the shit out of his wife. I don't have to see it though. And frankly, I don't even think it's the same man. So it's not my problem, right? And when Ronald McDonald puts up this professional sphere, it's this that he's banking on, right? Because I sincerely believe that when these men lie, and when they pull this shit, and when they destroy women, and when they lie about it, then they never lie very well. They're not that good. Because they don't have to be, right? Because they're banking on the fact that you won't call them out on it. Because you spent a lifetime being socialized to be quiet, right? And they don't care, and they carry on, and they're so comfortable in the fact that you won't call them out because they know an angry woman is hysterical to the world. But just in case any of the male feminists in the room were wondering, and I hope there are none in this sense, we see you. When you lie, and when you cheat, and when you harass women, we see you. We all see you. And when you stand by horrible men, when you go to the pub with them, when you sit with them, when you're willing to socialise with them, and not call them out, knowing what they've done to women, we see you. We all see you. And we all think we're complicit, and we all think you're complicit. And I see you, and I'm not a quiet person anymore. Program all the diverse music you want. Read everything Simone de Beauvoir ever wrote. Read her fucking shopping list for all I care. We all see you. And we should never have to say it, but there are no good men who do bad things. That's not a thing that exists. There are bad things done by men. And just because it's more convenient to act like that's not the case, doesn't actually make it true. When my ex-boyfriend's friends all turned into fucking mute statues, unable to call him out for anything, and decided to keep on going and stick their fingers in their ears, it wasn't because they thought what he'd done was right, or they thought he was a good person, or they thought he was going to stop, or they thought he wasn't dangerous, or they thought he wasn't borderline a predator. It was because they were just waiting for the fucking noise to stop, so they wouldn't have to accept the full ugliness and horror of the man beside them, of everything he'd done, of everything he's going to go on to do. And it happens so often, and it breaks my heart. Before sending the email that I just read to you, I was on the phone with my mum, who's there. And she said something that is true, and that I believe and that I know is true, but I really don't think should stop us because I think it compounds the problem. So fuck it. And she said something along the lines of, you mustn't let them see you angry. Because when they see you as angry, they stop treating realised they're complicit. Fuck all the ex-boyfriends who do unspeakable things and try to run. Fuck all the bystanders and apologists. Fuck them! Because I truly believe that deep down, it's not that they think we're not rational, it's that they know we are. And they know the moment we are free to get angry, all kinds of fuckery can't go on anymore. And yes, this is all personal, and I'm wounded, and I'm scared, and I'm angry, but I'm still completely rational. And I am sane in an insane situation. And I really believe that no one actually thinks angry women are insane. I think they are fucking terrified. And I think they fucking should be.
This legal body, 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 this legal body has taken on a meaning-shaping presence, unwritten in the law, unknown within the womb, unmolded by these hands, unborn without consent, unwritten in the law, unknown within the womb, unmolded by these hands, and born without consent, unwritten in the law, unknown within the womb, unmolded by these hands, and born without consent.
Thank you for bringing this to my attention.
Thank you for bringing this to my attention.
Thank you for bringing this to my attention. To my attention. To my attention.
Sorry for the
inconvenience.
This legal body.
Well, I don't know what you want me to say. Well, I don't know what you want me to say. Well, I don't know what you want me to say. Well, I don't know what you want me to say.
Please hold.
You are the next caller. Please hold. Please hold. You are the next caller. Please hold. Please hold. Please come home for dinner. Please hold. Please hold. You are the next caller. Please hold. Please hold. You are the next caller. Please hold. Please hold. You are the next caller. Please hold. We're sorry for the inconvenience. 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 We're inconvenienced. 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 This legal body does not belong to you.